Good day to you all. My name is Kola Ibrahim, an author, researcher, and a climate justice activist based in Nigeria. I just wanted to talk about the issue of climate justice in Africa, especially as it relates to climate financing and energy transition. We all know that most of, if not all, African countries are expected to be worse off or worse hit by climate change, especially in terms of the physical disasters, which have been scientifically documented, but have also been proven by events in the last few years. And we have seen the recent flood in Nigeria that have caused a serious devastation across the country, especially in the northern part of the country. This is also following up on the various disasters we have had in other African countries. And all these disasters are meeting the existing crisis, and of course, snowballing into wars and crisis socioeconomically and in terms of health. But the question of how do we provide the finance for uh, adaptation and resilience to ensure that African countries have enough resources to manage the physical disasters and the fallouts, and also to provide the buffer for the sustenance of lives after this crisis, and if possible, also to prevent those that can be minimized in terms of their impact. But the challenge is that climate finance has been couched or defined in a way that seems to make it look as if it's a voluntary donation or contribution from the benevolent rich countries to African countries, which of course have meant that most of the climate financing has been voluntary, they have been meager, and of course have addressed the issue of adaptation and resilience in a piecemeal manner. And of course, that has underscored the fact that most of the adaptation financing expected are stated in various nationally determined contributions of various African countries have not been met or even have any prospect of being met. And there is need to reframe the question of climate financing to reflect climate justice for Africa, in the sense that, we have known that Africa contributes very minimally, to uh, carbon emission, which has been shown to be a major contributor to climate change. And of course, Africa has also contributed minimally to destruction of oil and production of environmentally destructive substances and products. But Africa is being hit, worse, this situation with climate change impact. So the question of climate finance has to go alongside with climate justice, which is the fact that those who cause the crisis in the first place, the advanced economies, the industrialized economies, need to pay up, for the impact of their development too on the earth, and of course the poor countries. Just as they have amassed enough wealth through the industrialization and development, they also need to pay up, a kind of compensation and reparation for the world, and of course the poor countries, which is very essential. If you look at it from various scientific or various research that have been conducted, I did one in my recent book on climate imperialism in Africa, which shows that if the advanced and industrialized economies are made to pay up a tiny amount of compensation through using the social cost of carbon approach, it will only take very meager or marginal part of their GDP, and it will mean a lot to develop both mitigation and adaptation capacity in the developing and poor countries, especially in Africa. So the question of climate financing must be raised alongside the question of climate justice. One of the other factors, reasons why the why the need to raise the question of climate justice beyond question of voluntary benevolence is the fact that Africa's resources, natural resources especially, the rainforest, the wetlands, the mangroves, have been playing enormous role to stabilize the earth, and the climate by absorbing, the carbon and carbon dioxide in enormous capacity. This service that African society, Africa is paying for the world, is giving to the world, need to be paid for by those who are destroying the environment. And I think that that debate should reflect that. And more importantly, is the fact that the question of collaborative and collective action, to solve the question of climate change, it goes beyond just benevolence or voluntary contribution. It has to do with having a planned approach, how much is needed to develop adaptation and resilience in the poor countries, in the developing countries, how much is needed to develop mitigation capacity for developing and poor countries, so that they can also develop the economy while abandoning fossil economy. This need to be done. This kind of plan need to be done. To now look at how can the resources be provided through a collective effort. We have a situation whereby we have various international organizations like the health institutions, even military institutions that are being funded by global efforts, and the taxes. And these resources are used in various countries. Why is it not possible to have this kind of levy on the advanced countries and use resources to have a planned intervention to end to prevent the worst case scenario of climate change? These are the issues that I think we need to raise, and I think that further discussions will further this debate and expand it more. Thank you.